Check. Okay, here we go. Awesome. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network. Today with us, we have the lovely Donna, and look at, she's all spring-like. I love that. How are you doing today, Donna?
I'm doing great. A little bit of a tickle in my throat, so if anybody, I might be sipping some water, but otherwise, no, I'm doing great. Yeah, no, today's a good day.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, tell me where you are in the world. I know you're near me.
Yeah, I'm in Ottawa, Canada. So anyone, the Canadians, but in our capital city. So for anybody that's outside of Canada and doesn't know where that is, but in our nation's capital. So, but I moved here well, I was in Toronto for 20 years, and before that, I grew up outside of Kitchener-Waterloo. So, so yeah,
Real
so I'm in Ontario,
Ontario.
born and raised, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me see. I know you have a couple of interesting modalities. What we'll get, I want to know, tell me what they are, because there's not just one. So,
Hmm. Well, so let's see. So modalities, the one that I channeled, I guess, after I had done a bunch of healing. I think that's probably the one that's the most fun for me. And it brings up so much information. So I'll just sort of jump in. For those that do or don't know, we have our own guides, right? And the more we open up to our intuition, we're able to actually utilize them as an assistance to us and for us, that we can then also assist other people by speaking to their guides. So what I do in one of my modalities is, which is really I kind of use it as a body attunement, so that the energetics and the vibrations are align you and anchor you back into your body and into that sense of possibility that's lost. So basically in a session, I kind of work with the subtle body, right? So we're many bodies, not just this physical. The physical one just gets to hold all of this stuff, and it's living around us. But so I get to, when I'm with a client, and virtually or in person, sort of open up the field, kind of get out. I kind of be like, okay, what's in the way, right? Like that cobweb kind of stuff. And I say what's there that's stuck, because a lot of times we just keep looping in these things, and people haven't learned how to close loops. That's another part of what comes out of my work, but or this modality anyway, is so I pull it all out, and then I start talking to whatever's there, right? Whatever wants to present itself. What's the message, what is the message that Tammy needs now for clarity? That is going to, if it's worked on and understood and navigated in the right way, it can actually take away a lot of the stuff that the human brain wants to think is the problem, right? So it kind of just opens up, what are the messages that want to come through? And the beauty of what comes out of it is not only those messages, but also movement or dance or songs that they don't mean anything to me. I mean, sure, they can mean something to me because I'd go and I'd explore it, but it could just mean something that's totally yours, that way back when you were a teenager, you're like, God, I love that artist, and I haven't listened to something in a long time. And what happens is it tends to come out as, and I'll use an example because it'll be easier for people. So, particular client that I had years ago, she was in her mid 60s, and Tina Turner, this was at the end, because there's different songs oftentimes, but Tina Turner, like I became sort of Tina Turner. The stage was there, everything's just like amplified, and I'm walking this thing with this Tina skirt on and all the rest of it. And I'm like, afterwards, I know that I have to explain these things to people and try to really take them through what happened. And I said, so Tina Turner, you would benefit from, well, they're inviting you to listen to some Tina Turner songs. Um, and she's like, oh my God. And the same thing, like I haven't listened to Tina in forever. So followed up with her, and she told me the song that she was listening to. And I right away, I'm like, no, that's not it. It's because it's, and I've learned from it, right? Which is, it's the vibration in particular songs that their body needs in order to re-spark the sense of possibility that's been lost somewhere along the line. So for her to know exactly where that period of time was, right? It's just, I needed to help her shift in that's That's the vibration. So forget the lyrics, get into that dancing just to the beat. So the body, because the body's so intuitive. I mean, the body's the compass for us, really. So it kind of it allows us to play, right? So that comes out of sessions with me when I do it, but really I get to pull in. Like I have this lovely capacity. I mean, many people have different ones, but I get to pull in energies. I'm like, okay, what do you want to give me? Yeah, yeah. Where does it need to go? Okay. And it's this, oh my gosh, right? And I've had a very connected experience with nature, I'll use it that way, and smells and colors. And because I can pull, like if I smell a flower while I'm walking down the street and I love it, I'm like, I just pull that whole thing all the way home with me. Like I can just pull that smell and just wrap it around me, bring it in the house, whatever that is, right? So that's one of my things, right? So
That's
that's one. But
exciting.
it's really it is exciting for me. And what happens is it becomes a lot of information, but then I can work with people through the where's the emotional blocks, the mental blocks, the energetic blocks that come from that session alone, which is like 90 minutes kind of thing. But then sometimes it takes like 6 weeks to work through it. But it's like, okay, this is what's going on inside of you, right? And when when you uncover that, and depending where people are on their journey, some people they're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, now I get it. And as you go through and they really do the work, I'll say, which is use the movement of part of what's going on, delve into, find the meaning behind whatever I'm expressing it. I can only express it in the way that it makes sense to me. And I think that's probably the bigger message out of all of this for everyone, which is we need to find and make meaning for ourselves what that is. I could tell you 9 ways to explore it based on what I've experienced, but it's still going to you keep discovering what is that for me, right?
Yeah,
So that I think is my brilliant one that's channeled in, right? But I mean, there's other things that I channel all the time, right? Because I have a very deep connection to nature, so I can go into nature and I was a chef for years. I was a chef for 30 years. So I have a very deep connection to food.
those
I
are
know I always worked with food and I spoke to it. I didn't, right? Like I would play with it. I would just be like, oh, right. It was humans that trumped me. Like that was the thing that was like tripped me up, right? Humans. And they didn't understand love. And I was like, okay, but I realized it was me that didn't understand love, but more in the loving ourselves and an unconditional love and how much was conditioned and where was the judgments and what are all the things that we get to navigate, right? So so yeah, when it comes to my chefing, right, which I don't really do anymore. I mean, there's a more of a I love to imprint food and help people to mindfully eat and help them to understand that they have this capacity to because our language is creating all the time, right? Like our words are creating all the time. I can use words, but I can use vibrations of things to imprint food, right? So it might seem strange to people, but I'm going to use maybe probably the best thing is when you look at Dr. Emoto's work, or there's a woman called Veda Austin, whether anybody knows of either of their work. Veda's now probably her mid 40s maybe. So sorry, Veda, if you're listening to this, and I don't know what your age is, but anyway, she might be a little bit younger. But the idea is she works with the water crystals, just like Dr. Emoto, because have the they have the science behind, I guess, and they can see that when we speak into water, freeze those crystals, ta-da, they make either a beautiful snowflake pattern or they make something that's very murky. And when people really, like when I really anchored that one in, it was like, oh my God, right? Like everything we're saying, because we're like 70-90% water,
yeah.
right? And and when I say it anchored in, because I had a chronic illness, I had endometriosis, so my entire reproductive system was doing its thing, right, without so me pushing away from that, because it was like, like get out of me, right? and
Yeah.
and and that's the opposite of what the body needs, right? It needs us to embrace it. And when I really anchored in that one, it was like, wow, because my blood, I'm speaking to my blood. My blood is water in my body. I work with the cosmos, right? So it's like nature and me. And it was like the moon, for anybody that doesn't understand the moon is pulling at our water within us all the time, every day. We have a moon at night and our sun. So that brings me to another part of what I do in terms of astrology, and not just astrology, but to help people understand what is your sun and your moon sign, because those things are living in your life, as is all the other astrological planets. And it's not to make somebody an astrologer. I just really make it simple, but it's to have you understand that moon sign that's yours, every 3 hours, it's doing something in you. And not to freak you out, it's just to be like, oh, wow. When we start to work with the energetics and trust the energetics, oh, we start to move with the energetics. And what's ours? What's mine? Right? But that moon sign alone, I just have to share, that moon sign alone is how your mother, right? That was an imprint from your mother, a big one. That was like, how do I flow in this world? Because the moon is designed to help us to flow through life. So, anyway, that's where another part of what I do. So,
I just
yeah, I
think
just
about
play with different modalities. Yeah.
the flowing, the moon and the flow and the woman's flow, the menstruation, the cycles, all the things that go together with that.
And men's flow. Men have it too. Men just don't, because it's not a physical thing that we see. We often think men, and I know we're in a women's wellness, but I have to say, if there's any men listening, and for women that have men in your
Right? We
lives,
all, yes, fathers,
right? It
brothers.
doesn't matter. It is affecting our subtle body. Well, it's affecting the waters, but that's this subtle stuff. And what happens is the more we're pushing away from the body, which is this compass, we're pushing away from ourselves. We're using the raw mind incorrectly. The mind is meant and designed for us to dream and imagine, right? Except we're trying to think our way through everything that we do, and we're moved through these cycles of burnout to bliss. So the brain is burning out the rest of the body, everything comes up to the head, and it's like, oh my god, right? We don't know that we have chakras, we don't know what they're for, we don't know what, all this stuff, and it's like, oh my god, do I have to take every single class to do everything? I'm like, no. No, when you have a willingness, and this is why, so I'm going to go into another modality, and then it's your turn to talk.
I love
Um,
it.
which is I work with human design, and I came across it after I healed, and I'm so glad I did, because then it became the tool that it was designed to be for me, right? Because human design, or quantum human design, is a system that basically shows you the archetypal body, the electromagnetic body that we live. And we each have a design that's imprinted based on our birth blueprint, which is where astrology comes in, but it layers in astrology and the I Ching and all these other pieces, the Kabbalah and all kinds of stuff. But what it's trying to do is just to complement everything that we're already doing, and when we can keep it that simple, and just allows us to see our own life sort of on this, oh, that's me, right? And we really use it as again, as a compliment to say, oh, that's going to help me to support me, the new narrative, the new dream, the life that I want to live. Where am I going? Um, and again, it's its own journey, right? So lately, I've been really delving into it in a different way and creating these success codex. I'll call it that because it was a woman that created it out of human design and stuff. But to help people to see at a snapshot, oh, this is my life in 13, I'll say gateways, because that's what they're called, in this perspective. But at a glance, it's like, what's going on? If I'm out of balance, what's going on with me? Boop. You have three little keys. That's it. If I'm going through transformation or change with my business or with something in my family life or whatever it is, three little keys. Boop. What I do, because I'm like, it's so simple. It's like, where am I out of alignment? And it's an emotion, right? And it's an emotion. And when you can be like, oh my gosh, wow. Now that doesn't mean like, okay, hey, click and it's done. It's to say, yes, it is. And it opens you to the opportunity to say, okay, what's the next little level under there that I haven't discovered yet?
Right.
Because everything that we do is about self-awareness and consciousness and becoming a greater version, right? So, but it helps us keep on point with our own self, our own genius, the part of us that's here to shine the most. so that everyone, and these are all archetypes, but so that you're living in your lane, right? Like ultimately, right? And I know that's a big one because I had a chronic illness, and I'm like, my energy, and for people pleasers that are out there, which so many of us are, um, we people please until we understand what's going on, and we get to realize that, oh my gosh, we need community, right?
Mhm.
We need community. And a lot of times people who people please, it's like we're pushing at community unconsciously because we've not learned yet how we're designed, and how it is to heal aspects of us that are being activated or triggered, or and yeah, people talk about all the trauma and all the shame and the guilt. Of course it lives in us,
Yep.
except there's a way, and I'm going to be real big on this, there's a way this day and age that it is not and does not have to be the way that it was when we started, right? There's so many applications out there and ways for people to heal. And it does come with having people who've done the work in some form or fashion for where you are, right? And again, that what is coming up, find the people that resonate and just immerse yourself into it for a while so that they're seeing what your intention is. I'll use it that way, because without us having an intention why we're doing things or a dream, but a mentor is truly designed to help you to live into and beyond that idea, that intention, that dream, right? They're not simply there to say, okay, yes, 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 think it through, think it through. Sure. You're still gonna have to make meaning on your own. But people like me, it's like, oh my gosh, how do I help you live into your potential? And more than that, we live into potential. Well, there's so much out there. And I think that can trip people up, because it did with me. I'm like, holy geez, there's so much potential. What do I pick? Right.
Right.
And it's helping you. Maybe you're somebody that you're like, I've never dreamed. I don't even know what my dream is. And that's a lot of people that come to me, actually, because they're so, they've been doing it for other people for so long, right? And we just don't know. We don't know what's a bigger dream for us. We've never really thought about it, believed it was possible for us, right? Or that maybe part of our dream is to support a bigger dream, because that's the other thing too, right? It's not like, okay, I'm waiting for the big dreamer out there and I need to support their cause. Sure. It's just, if you're using your energetics in the wrong way, and I say the wrong way, there is no right or wrong. So when you use it in the aligned way, it's like, boom, right? I can support the Women's Wellness Network because energetically, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I get Tammy the first time I met her, right? So this is how it works. So here's what happens is we can either be like, oh, I get that person, right? So you get them energetically because we're broadcasting all the time. But it's like, okay, I can get a part of them now. If and I can I can see and hear the words of women's wellness, right? Now, over time, depending what you create with it, is how, okay, what part of me supports, continues to expand that, aligns to and helps you to make it a bigger message, or not. I become just a watcher, right? People have to sit on the sidelines. People do that. We're
Yep.
designed to do that also. And then it's at some point, it's like, okay, but your message needs to be there too, right? And your meaning whoever's message gets to,
Our
right? Yeah, right? Yeah. It's the we are here for wellness and for well-being. And for me, it's really about optimizing that well-being, right? Anyway,
yeah, I love what you're saying. The energetic.
digress.
Do you need a sip of water?
No, no, no. I'm just going to take a breath on everything. It's your turn.
Well, that's awesome. I've heard a few things and I'm going to ask you about them. So first of all, I imagine what you're talking about as we are all kind of Russian dolls and we have these energetic layers of us. And in the
Mhm.
middle is what we understand, know, and that's the part that resonates out. But some of it might get blocked by our outer layers because maybe there's some junk in there, whatever you want to say. And it's hard to listen to the other person or hear the other person, resonate with the other person when the layers are not clear, maybe, let's say. So somebody who's a mentor, yourself as a mentor, you have the capacity, a broader capacity, because you have less your layers are clear, so you can hear what people are saying, you can feel what they're saying when you're working with them, and you can pick up, and that's why you can resonate with what their junk, because your field is clear and their field is like a little bit messy and staticky, but maybe you recognize that because you've had that in your own field. Is that correct?
Yes, and
Yes,
maybe add a
and
big and here. First of
yes.
all, I don't call it junk. I don't use that language. So if I did anywhere along, and I'm not, this is what happens. The more you sort of start to refine to say, okay, well, it's not junk. It's just, there's an aspect of me that's continuing to just sort of roam around in there, right? So junk means like, okay, I've not closed a loop. I don't know how. So what also happens, and what you first said was, and I'd have to go back to really listen to it, but it was like, whatever that part of you, right? Um, and the junk that you called it, but really what's happening is there's all of these parts. It's not one separate from the other. And I think that's probably part of what happens. And we can work on just the mental body. My work brings them all together so that you don't see them as something separate. Just like, so yes, that Russian doll idea is this whole part, which I would call your entire energy field, right? Let's use it
Yes.
there. Within it are all these little ones. So what happens is, and then the way it's coming out of me right now for today is, it's they're not separate. I'm simply able to move through what needs to be seen by you.
Mm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, because when I can go into the middle part, which is the really subtle part of you, that's where I can open up all those messages and help you discern what is the emotion, because it's really the emotional body that holds it, that's locked and blocked. The mind will keep doing exactly what the emotions, right? Because it's an emotion first before it's a thought. It's kind of a thought, but it's an emotion behind it. So it's then helping you reframe the mental part of your development that happened. Because we develop in these 7-year cycles, right? When we're childhood development. Now, there's more to that. I'm going to keep it really simple because it actually starts while you're in utero, but really I'm able to go to the part of where is the mind or emotion? What's the trip up? What's the, it's just, where am I tripping over myself? Where am I actually haven't learned to be honest or to quiet myself enough to listen,
Mm.
right? Our intuition is with us all the time. It's simply over medicated with noise. How's that? It could be actually over medicated,
That
right?
too. Yeah.
Right? Except it's with noise. It's like, and again, as kids, because our fields are open, those first 7 years, we're literally a sponge. So everything that comes at us is deemed as real,
Mm.
right? So it's us unraveling these parts. Um, so did that answer it, I guess, a
Yeah,
little
I
bit?
think so. Yes. Yes.
Um, because at the end of the day, the bigger work becomes for anybody. It's where where in my developmental process, my emotional development, did I get stuck?
Right.
Right? That's why I like the human design. That's why it's a brilliant tool in terms of, okay, not to, it's only that, but it's a way to see, okay, that's the hold up that then is holding up potentially other parts. Except when you really get into it, you can start to say, okay, and this was me, which is, oh my gosh, I need to find all the problems in me, right? I need to find all the problems and figure them out. We'll go there. And I am doing this, navigate them, figure them out. And what happens is when you do that, and I'm okay, I'm a great to be I'll be a case study for anyone, which is when you do that, it actually stops us from living with our gifts and amplifying the brilliance that we came with, right? Loving the part of us that's already alive and beautiful that we came. While doing that, we can then soften into and heal those parts, except the two do become one. We're not just, oh my gosh, because when we work in these silos of this problem or this pain, well, where attention goes, energy flows. So when we think we're in pain, great, we're experiencing a pain, sure. But don't put it there as it's a problem. And that's its own journey. It's like, how do I use this body, scan it, heal it, hold it, embrace whatever it is, so that we can use the breath, we can use the elements of nature, all of this, and understand that, oh, I'm this living organism, I'm my own living planet, right? So then we stay in the brilliance of us while we navigate the parts of us that are needing our attention, right? And the other brilliance that I love about, and I'm gonna share about why astrology, about why and the human design aspect. We all come in with a very distinct, they call it a core wound, right? They call it your Chiron. It's
Mhm.
all good. I want to just use it more as, oh my God, this is this sacred thing that you get to, right? Like this is your sacred brilliance, a flaw, if you will, right? So it's not junk, it's just a flaw that needs a little more polishing, right? So if you look at it that way, right? Right? You dig out this beautiful, I don't know, it doesn't even matter, a diamond, right? Out of the earth. It's like it still needs to be polished, right? Um, so it's like when you understand that that is living with you and you get to just keep polishing it a little more and a little more and a little more, then it becomes something that is very sacred to you. Because the body at the end of the day is this sacred temple that we all get to experience. It has nothing to do with what size, what color, what culture, what that, all that stuff. Yes, those are stories that are all living inside of you, right? You can believe them or not. And if you're going through pain, I totally get it, which is, but lady, do you understand that I'm living with, and I every day I wake up and I can't move? Yeah, I do. I lived it. I lived it for years. I lived it where I would pass out and never let my staff know. I'd be in the bathroom and I'd pass out and I'd be hugging the cold toilet bowl just to get enough breath to get back out there. Because I was a chef. I mean, I was running the ship, right? Um, and yeah, so it's this, it doesn't have to be that way. Not anymore. It never had to be that way anyway, but right, we are in a period of time right now, which is find people that are supporting you beyond the little you that you think you are. Then you eventually merge the aspects of you. And I'm going this way and this way. Your feminine and your masculine part of you merge,
Mhm.
right? And for those that don't quite get that, whole other thing, but that's okay. We're running energies, right? We're running this beautiful being part of us and the doing part of us, right? That oh my gosh, then this comes together. And then when it comes together here, it's because our spiritual selves and our human selves, oh, everything comes into this beautiful part of us, our heart. So when we learn how to keep coaxing the heart and using the heart as this vessel, right? That's just like, oh my gosh, oozing love and bringing it in, taking it out, sending it out, right? Right. We just become oh my gosh, right? We get to do it more. And if you get to feel that and hold it and expand and just be like, oh my gosh, that's the other thing. It's like when it's pumping and doing its thing, and it's not really the heart pumping. I'm not talking the human heart. I'm talking the the heart chakra, the aspect, the essence of us. When that's going, or you get these, I'll say, hits of it, just hold it as long as you can. Just revel in that because it'll just start to soak in every single cell of your being. And when you allow that and not push that part away either, oh my God, it's like, give it to me, hold it in because it's in there. It's already all in there. We
Yep.
just get to learn to bring it out and use it, right? And navigate it. Anyway.
Like radiate it, right? Radiate it out.
Radiate it out and into us. I
Yeah.
was an out. I could
Yeah.
There's
Out's
a
easy.
big
No
difference.
problem.
It's an in and an out because I was like, no, 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 in, for you, for you first.
Yes.
That's the bigger lesson. Huge, 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 huge. We want to give it out. Yes, we do, because we're told we need to serve, right? We need to serve humanity. We need right? And then again, you've got to look at what's the meaning in that word for you. What does serving mean? Right? Once you've served you by bringing it in, holding it in enough, using it to navigate you and acting on that wisdom that you get. Because that's ultimately, at the end of the day, the bigger part. We could have as much intuition coming in. And I'm not someone for we should be having intuition coming in all the time. If somebody's experiencing that, there's something that needs to occur to align it differently so that so that you're using the human vessel, not just the spiritual vessel and getting sort of stuck in other worlds or whatever. But it's yeah, it's learning how to use it in the right way, to bring it in, hold you, act upon that wisdom that you get, right, in the right way. So anyway, there's so
Yeah,
much. There's
yeah, right. There is so much, and that's the beauty of it, because there's so many options and so many ways to bring yourself back into alignment and to discover who we really are. And it's just a matter of connecting with the right person who feels good and has, something that, like, somebody today might say, "Hey, she said something about Tina Turner. Well, I want to know more about that." Right? Who will she hear from me? Like, right? It's like some people would be so excited by just that alone, never mind the actual wholeness that we get from the healing. But some of it's fun too, as you said.
well, and that's so my intuition is what said to me, become whole. Before surgery was always the only answer. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. Why do you want a surgery? People at 28 and 32. And this is so not the way the world's supposed to work.
Right.
And that's the become whole. Like it was just this whole. And I was like, what? Like, cause that's when and it was like, who's this talking to me? And it was like, become whole. And that's where I just had to say to the specialist that day, I was like, that was it. Right. So that's the part that's just even opened me up to that's why I'm like, it's all about the whole body coaching. Cause it's not just, it's the compass, it's the thing, it's the vehicle. There's so much, right? You nailed it in terms of, and I'm going to use nailed it because I don't like that word so much, but I'm like, you did, you will never get every single piece of information from anything you listen to. That's not what it's for. Take in what right? So if
Yeah.
you're listening to it and you want to just listen to it and it's like, oh, that might be the thing that makes you stop because again, the vibration hits you in the right way and that's the part that you needed to hear, right? That's the next piece for you, right? That doesn't mean don't focus and listen. It's just you start to learn that you can use a bit of both at the same time, or you realize that no, I'm the person I want to sit and really focus because you're at that space in your life, which is I need more attention and attentiveness to me. Because I go through both parts, right? It's like, oh no, this gives me its attention to me. It's like, oh, they're speaking to me, right? Versus you can listen to a podcast and whatever and do that and get little part pits. Anyway, so much. And I could talk forever, so I don't know how much time
Oh,
you have, but I think
well,
that's probably enough.
well, you told me
I
one
can
more
come
thing
back.
that I need
I
to
can come back
ask.
to you. What's that?
You said there was 3 keys.
Oh geez, what did I say? Did I? 3 keys for what?
No, it was a while ago.
Um,
That's okay. No, well, we can
when
talk
I
about
was
it
speaking
now.
about human design,
Yes, I think
so when
so.
I was speaking of human, okay, so what happens with the human, well, it's not really the human design, the 3 keys, there's many keys because our body has the astrological planets. But when you look at the Success Codex, you can pull out which are 3 distinct keys. So there's 13 in the
Okay.
map that you get, but you can pull out 3 of them and just be like, oh, that's the emotion that I need to shift. Anyway, a little bit more than I can explain just by this because it's like what it makes it's too abstract, I guess, even though I
Okay,
love
no
abstract.
worries. No
There's
worries.
hey, if it resonates, anybody reach out. Happy to drop how you can, because I'm anyone wants to have a chart done. I'm just doing it by donation right now because I'm celebrating my birthday. So I'm like, oh yeah, totally. If anybody wants them, happy to. Happy to, if you ever want, I can come back and just do a little bit of, hey, this is what even human design is. Because I think you need to see it and get it in a little bit of way without having to go into the wormholes because they can be wormholes. And there are people that are big human design. I just use it as I use it as the complementary tool that I believe it is, right? At this point. So yeah. for me,
Yeah.
right?
Cool. Well,
Otherwise,
I mean, like you said,
otherwise, yeah.
that's
Anyway,
a whole lot of awesomeness. And I love the part where you're talking about the Tina Turner thing and how you pull that in, and that, it's because you're clear and you're open and you're in tune, and to have other people be able to experience that, that's beautiful, because a lot of people don't know that they have that capacity. They don't know that they're stuck in that place. They don't know that there's like a little trigger when they were younger or whatever. And it just takes that one, like you say, just one little thing. And
yeah,
after, so much time, you uncover what it is. But it just takes that one little piece to give you that realization, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I think it's, even for anybody where there's many, 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 many modalities and things that you can go to. What I always would encourage anyone to do before you just find them in the Rolodex, right? Just ask your own body. Well, you can find them in the Rolodex. You could talk to me. It's the same thing, which is why we give complimentary calls. It's like, or why we do these things, which is like, do you even resonate with me at a first this, right? So that, because if your body is saying no, you start to learn, okay, is it them? Is it me? Right. And then you start to just, because I would just say to somebody, take a breath, close the eyes, ask if it's meant for you. Because when you quiet it out of the brain to think, okay, can I? No, 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 don't ask that. That's not how we're designed. It's like you got to ask your heart. This is your heart that we're working with. The other thing is, because we're working with your energy, right? And that's anybody really, but especially an intuitive healer that if you would go to, um, you want to ensure that that you feel good. You're being invited to open your field to their field. And if they're not, and I'm going to quote, doing their work, meaning you'll just know, right? You'll have this innate sense. And that's why I encourage anyone, any healer, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the librarian, right? Keep doing your own work. We are here to keep a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more, right? A little bit more, a little bit more, right? And keep integrating it. Don't just, seek junkie, right? Don't be a seeker junkie, right? At some point, you can seek all you want. Your body's gonna know. It's like, and it's like, I was like, take a breath, hold on. Okay, I need someone to really support me in this period of time, right? So that, right? But you start to understand you want healers, anyone that even, and I'm not going to say professes that, okay, well, I'm doing my work, right? No, but it's like you'll know, and to not stop, because there used to be a period of time early on when, and I'm going to say even in the 60s, or when I started to, I wasn't in the 60s, but in the 70s, whatever, it was like, okay, they were the only ones that you could go to.
Right.
It's like, but are you doing your work because you feel like not somebody that I feel is advancing, right? So you start again, you get to trust and play with where are you at now, right? Because when you really use the body as the compass, the body will align you to what it is that you need. Meaning, do I need emotion? Am I really looking for business support? Am I really looking for this? Instead of the mind doing it, the body will do it. That's my
Have
cue.
some
We're done.
water. But it's true, because we can feel, we know innately, we know we have that connection with other people's energetic fields, where we can tell, even on video, right? Even over Zoom, even millions of, not millions of miles away. I've never been millions of miles away from anybody, but thousands of miles away. You can still feel them if you're tuned in. And I think that's the beauty of the work. And yeah, resonating with somebody, finding somebody that is you feel connected to, and that you're interested in, and want to know a little bit more about.
Yeah. And I will use the word hold you in your divinity, your sacredness, right? The more you do it, it's like they're holding you in their heart in some form or fashion, right? And yeah, the more we do it, and we can, like, I'm saying we as a healer that would do what I do in that form, because I do it in many different ways, but it's, you really start to know, how do I get out of my own way, right? Like, it's right, because again, we're still human. In the beginning, it was like, okay, is this me? Is that them? Right? Blah, 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 right? Is that them? Right? And then it's like, hold on a second, trust, just get out of your own way, right? And that's anything in life, really, people. Get
It's
out
the
of your
truth.
own way. We're in our own way, right? So yeah. Anyway.
This is out in our way most of the time. Too much of
And
that, right?
well, it's that, and then it's like, because we have chakra system, that's right. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, then ask what that is, get curious. But in this, even with the human design, and this was before human design, I mean, the work that I needed to do was aligned with the chakra system. I mean, way back when I would align food to it, but it's, are you in alignment? And then the beauty, what the human design part though teaches, what part of you is picking up other people's voice. If you're an open space, it's like you pick up what other people, and you think it's yours, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not taught how to decondition part of that stuff that's just in the way, right? That's stuffy. It's just energy that's not ours. And we have to learn how to give back what's not ours, take back what's ours, and navigate what's ours, right? And I say that simply, it's a bit of a process, but again, just practicing it, right? We have to do it. We have to do it. You have to practice with it. Otherwise, it's like, and that's okay. It's all a choice. It's all a choice. Just if you want to make a more empowered choice, you make a more empowered choice for where you are and what you want. So yeah. And
Absolutely.
so
Well,
women's wellness, thank you, because I'm like, thank you for having a group like this, because I think it's so important. We need more and more. And I mean, there's so many groups, but it is what resonates, what do people need, right? So yeah.
absolutely. Yes. And it's like the woman's wellness is kind of like an open vessel, right? We can put all these things in there. And if it resonates with you, awesome. Use it. Take it for yourself. If it doesn't, leave it there. Somebody else will pick it up, right? So
Yeah.
if anybody wants to find you, get a hold of you, find out about your birthday month and your little chart that you're doing, how can they do that?
Oh, how do I do that? Oh, see, that's my name right there. I can do that. Look at that.
It's
There's my
not,
name
it is
on the
not
Zoom
on
screen.
my
Do you
screen,
see
but maybe
it?
it's on yours.
But I'll put it below. But everything's, you can find it all like that. My website, my Facebook, it's just my name. I keep it simple. It's instead of
Beautiful.
go there. But I
Okay.
can drop it in here too, right? So
We
just
will
find my,
put it,
I'm
we'll
the
put
one
it in
and
the
only.
comments.
I'm the one and only. So if there's an imposter out there, it's like, no.
It's very
My
nice.
parents were great. I'm the one and only. There you go. So, and if there's another one out there, really?
Oh, well, you're what are those called? Doppelganger.
There you go. Exactly. You just found it by my name, Donna Henhoeffer. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
that's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Donna, for coming on. And
Yeah.
we loved hearing from you. I loved hearing what you're all about. And well, in a little, little snippets, because you are a whole library of many things and knowledge and right and a heart and a big heart. And I think that's kind of the best part of it. So thank you for sharing with us. And thank you, Women's Wellness Network, for tuning in with Donna today. And hopefully we'll see you again soon, Donna.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Tammy.
All right. All right. Everybody be well.